Everybody in the world, whether they care to admit it or not, has a worldview. In other words, they have a set of beliefs about life, the universe, and everything. It's the overall perspective from which they see and interpret the world. And they look at the world through their worldview. They may not even be aware that they have one, but their worldview, like a pair of glasses looking through at the world, has a profound implications for the way they understand the world. So everybody has a worldview, and a person's worldview shapes their beliefs, their values, and their behavior. Now, often with people, the only thing we see is their behavior. That's rather like an iceberg. It's the only thing, the tenth of the iceberg, that's floating above the surface. But beneath that is a set of presuppositions about the nature of the universe, a set of beliefs, and also a set of values that they bring to everything they do. Now, if you want to discover someone's worldview, you can do it by asking 6 key questions, and here they are. I've described what kind of questions each are. So, what is God? Does God even exist? And what's God's nature? What are human beings? Are they clever monkeys? Are they made for a relationship with God? Are they part of the whole totality of being? What are they? What's the best way to discover truth? Can it be revealed through prophets or through scriptures? Or is it something we can only discover by the scientific method? Why do human beings have significance, if you think they do at all? Is it because perhaps they're made in the image of God for a relationship with God? Or is it that they don't have any more significance than, say, a rock or a snail? How do we decide what's right and wrong? That's the ethical question. What's our basis for deciding whether something like abortion, euthanasia, sex outside marriage, stealing or whatever, in whatever circumstances, is right or wrong? And then finally, a key question, what happens to a person at death? Is death the end? Is it just a pathway to an afterlife where we exist as dismembered spirits? Is it a gateway to judgment and one of 2 destinations, heaven or hell? Those are the basic questions that determine a person's worldview. And you can ask anyone these questions and you'll find out that they're very different in the way they give their answers. Now, if we look at the major worldviews in the world, and I'm simplifying things a little for the purposes of this course, but there are 4 major categories of worldview: pantheism, polytheism, theism, and atheism. Pantheists don't believe in a personal God, but they believe that we're all part of God and God is all that there is. Hinduism, Buddhism, New Age. Polytheists believe that there are many gods. The ancient Greek and Roman and Assyrian and Babylonian worldviews were polytheist, and many animists and people who follow fake religion today are also polytheists. Then there are the theists who believe in one God, Islam, Judaism, and Christianity, and of course the various cults that are associated with those. And then finally, atheism, that God doesn't exist. And again, different subcategories within that worldview. So pantheism, polytheism, theism, and atheism. And if we look at our 6 questions that we started off with, each of the people or each of these categories of worldview answer them in different ways. Now, we've not got time to go through all of these today, but look at the theistic column first of all, the first one there. God's a personal supreme being. We're made in God's image. Truth is revealed by God. We are created by God, which gives us value. We're made in his image. Morality is what's in line with the nature and character of God, which God reveals in the form of commandments. And death leads to judgment and either heaven or hell. That's a theistic worldview, held by both Christians and Muslims, of course, and also Jews and those who belong to sects or cults are the same. Now let's go to the other end, atheism. God doesn't exist. We're just clever monkeys, the product of matter, chance, and time. Truth is discovered through our senses. There's no such thing as revelation because there's no God. Our value is arbitrary. Morality is arbitrary, depends on each individual. And death, well, that's the end. as Bertrand Russell said, when I die, I rot. That's it. There's no afterlife of any kind at all. Now, how are worldviews distributed? Well, it depends pretty much on which country you're talking about and which group of people, and the distribution will be different in each. So if we look at it at a world basis, you see that atheism, even though there are a lot of atheists in Europe, but atheists are a small minority in the world's population, just 13%. Pantheists, most of them living in the Indian subcontinent, 20%. Polytheists, mostly followers of tribal religions or folk religion in the developing world, 11%. But the majority of people in the world are theists. And of course, the vast majority of those are either Christians or Muslims. So that's the worldwide distribution. But every single population will have a different distribution. And I spent many years working with British medical students, and I can tell you there are no polytheists among them. 2/3 of them are atheists and 1/3 theists, and they're pretty equally divided between Christians and Muslims. Small number of pantheists, they tend to be people from South Asian backgrounds. So what can we conclude from all this about worldviews? Well, first of all, we can conclude that there are at least 4 different categories of worldview. Secondly, that all of them are held by intelligent, well-educated people. Certainly the polytheists of Greece and Rome and Babylon and Assyria were intelligent and well-educated, at least the aristocracy were. And you can go to universities all around the world and you'll find intelligent, well-educated people who hold every one of the 4 worldviews. So it's nothing to do with education. Next, they're mutually exclusive. They can't all be true. No one can be true, in fact, at the one time. Can you imagine saying that death leads both to judgment and heaven and hell, or nothing, and nothing, and dismembered or disembodied existence of the soul for another category? Well, of course, clearly all these things can't be true, which means that at most only one of them is true and the others by implication are false. So what we learned from all that is that many intelligent people hold to a worldview that is not actually true. And the Bible would tell us it's because the God of this mind has blinded their eyes, and so they've started with a wrong worldview, which has implications for their beliefs, think of the iceberg, for their values, and then ultimately for their behavior as well.